which we have named as the Center for Research Excellence in Marketing. Businesses across the globe are experiencing a rapid, unpredictable, paradoxical, and tangled transformation that demands a new set of organizational competencies to navigate the real-time challenges. To overcome the turbulence created by disruptive environment, business leaders have primarily relied on the marketing department and its managers to drive the change to better engage, sustain, and deliver value to the institutional stakeholders. As the name suggests, at CREM, we aspire to achieve research excellence in the field of marketing to provide relevant and rigorous insights into complex marketing phenomena such as growing globalization, customer centricity, digitization, and sustainability in order to provide engaging and sustainable value to the stakeholders. While we do so, the idea is to address practitioners' challenges and dilemmas within a wide range of global and strategic marketing issues. Therefore, CREM mission is of twofold. One, to excel in the field of implementable marketing knowledge creation and dissemination to minimize the gap between industry and academia. Two, to establish a partnership with industry and government agencies to provide solutions to complex marketing challenges in the ever-changing business environment. And to achieve this mission, the center vision is to develop a collaborative and network community of academicians and industry practitioners to create a rich experience and foster learning in marketing research. Further, at CREM, we are not only focused on mainstream business issues, but also intend to serve government sector agencies, non-profit organizations, and policymakers, helping them with insights into the area of citizenship, engagement, social innovation, grassroots innovation, and Make in India branding. The CREM team constitutes the best in the field, both in the academia and industry. Along with the center committee, which consists of expert MICA faculty. Let me just share the screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
We, along with the expert MICA faculty member, and you can see here the core committee members, we have carefully curated an advisory board of 10 experts encompassing 5 senior level professors from the top US universities, European and UK universities, and 5 senior level industry practitioners holding strategic position in their respective organizations. We have mapped the advisory board in a way that for every expertise, we have made a team of 2, one each from industry and academia, to bring the best practice and concept forward. Further, CREM stakeholders would consist of postdoc students, doctoral students, PGP students, and faculty members, not just to MICA, but across the business schools in the country and across the globe. We look forward to engaging with global industry, government, and academic partners. Now, I welcome our President and Director, Professor Shailendra Mehta, PhD from Harvard University and a well-accomplished economist. Professor Mehta has done extensive research in the area of entrepreneurship, industrial organization, information economics, and experiential economics. He has served as a professor at Purdue University for 16 years and has also co-founded a successful high-tech company in Purdue Technology Park while teaching full-time at Purdue. Returning to India, he headed the collaboration between Duke University Corporate Education Arm and IIM Ahmedabad as its head for India. Before joining MICA, Professor Mehta had served as the chairman of the Board of Management and as a distinguished professor of strategy at Oro University. And prior to that, he was provost and vice chancellor of Ahmedabad University. Currently, he is also involved in and actively mentoring another fintech startups. Professor Mehta initiated the idea in us of having this research center at MICA. He, along with our former dean, Professor Preeti Shroff, provided us required support, encouragement, discussions, and time to conceptualize this Center of Research Excellence. I now invite Professor Mehta to share his thoughts and vision for CREM with us. Professor Mehta.
Thank you, Shefali. What an exciting day for all of us to be launching the very appropriately named CREM, right? Crème de la Crème, Center for Research Excellence in Marketing. As we all know, research has become the gold standard for thinking about the quality of universities or institutions of higher learning. And the National Education Policy in India has also mentioned world-class research as a national imperative. And it's not just a national imperative, it's a global imperative, especially in marketing, precisely because no discipline, in fact, within the domain of management or even elsewhere, has changed more than marketing. In fact, marketing as it exists today is unrecognizable to those who were in the profession even 10 years earlier, certainly as practitioners. And I must say that while we are all playing catch up in terms of research, we have a long way to go. And this is the primary rationale for creating CREM. Now, if I may just take a minute to also share MICA's journey. In the last 5 years, MICA has now dramatically accelerated our research output. And we are just going to share a paper very shortly that I shared with our faculty just about a week ago, which indicates that whether you look at ABTC A-star rankings, ABS, FT50 or UT Dallas, MICA is now in the top 2 or 3 in the country. And the only institution which is ahead of us on all dimensions for now is ISB. But when it comes to the other private institutions or the older IIMs or even the newer IIMs, we are neck and neck with the very best. So we've covered a large distance in the last 5 years, but in a large measure, it is because of the people that we see on the screen. The MICA professors, of course, but also our broader professorial ecosystem. And I see many distinguished members here. I will talk about it in just a minute. But this ecosystem is something that we want to create and nurture at MICA so that we take on not just the most interesting and the most demanding challenges in this volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, not just in India, but in the world. So the way to do it is, of course, to build a stellar advisory body. And I'm looking at the wonderful names here. Anne Raghaveen, Konstantin Katsikias, Werner Reinhardt, Kanika Mittal, Kelly Hewitt, Praveen Nijara, Lalit Chopra, Somnath Datta, Kunal Mukherjee, and of course, V. Kumar, who is the chief advisor, a dear friend of MICA, somebody who's mentored many, many of our faculty. And we are deeply grateful to all of you for agreeing to be on the advisory board for CREM. I have no doubt CREM will scale greater heights in the future. And I congratulate, of course, Professor Shefali Gupta, but the whole MICA team that put it together. That includes Professor Varsha Jain, Professor Suresh Malodia, Professor Subrat Sarangi, Professor Falguni Vasavada Ojha, Professor Mayank Kumar, and Professor L.K. Vaswani. So I look forward to some very, very productive years for CREM and for the whole ecosystem that CREM is going to curate for us. So thank you so much for this wonderful team, to agree to be part of this launch. And with that, my very best wishes. Back to you, Shefali.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Shailendra, for sharing your thoughts. But let me tell you, CREM would not have been possible without your support and guidance. So thank you, to be there with us and for your constant guidance. Further, it is my pleasure to invite Professor V. Kumar, Salvatore Ziza Professor of Marketing at Tobin College of Business at St. John's University, New York, who is also a distinguished fellow at MICA and is a chief advisor to CREM. Well, Professor Kumar needs no introduction. He is a legend in the marketing domain and has recently received the 2022 Charles College Parlin Marketing Research Award, the oldest and the most distinguished award in the field of marketing. He has published over 300 scholarly papers and 30 books related to marketing and marketing research.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta. Thank you so much.
He has received over 20 Lifetime Achievement Awards in various areas of marketing and 25 Research and Teaching Excellence Awards. Professor Kumar's research focuses on rigor, that is developing new methods, and relevance, that is solving business problems. Professor Kumar has served as the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Marketing from 2014 to 2018 and serves at the department editor of POM, which is an UT Dallas journal, and the consulting editor of JIBS, again an UT Dallas journal. His latest book, titled Intelligent Marketing, which is an amazing book, demonstrates how new age technologies such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, machine learning, robotics, blockchain, and drones influence marketing. Global Fortune 500 firms have implemented many of his ideas and models, which has resulted in gains over multi-billion dollars. We welcome you, Professor Kumar, to MICA, and thank you for agreeing to give the inaugural talk of CREM. Professor Kumar, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta. It's fine. You just stop with the first sentence. That's good enough. But I have to say three things. First, where I am today is because of my doctoral students and my colleagues who have really taught me everything that I know today. So, but for them, I would be nobody. Second, the CREM vision is something that, as Dr. Gupta mentioned, happened because of Dr. Mehta's ideology and wanting MICA to be the best institute, as we grow, and willing to invest in resources. And that is something, doing the talk and the walk is very difficult, but he's making it happen. And then the third is that it takes a lot of time. We say it takes a village to raise a kid, and so it takes a lot of people to put a center together, and let alone run it. And so in that context, both Dr. Gupta had visited our center in the past twice to see how it works. And then Dr. Suresh Malodi also has visited the center before. And I'm not sure if Dr. Varsha Jain visited our center before, might have visited also in Atlanta. So the motivation that I want to provide for the launch of CREM and the successful run of CREM is what I learned. So with your permission, I would love to share the screen. And so I'm not sure, I hope all of you are able to see the screen, I guess. Yeah. So the title of the talk structured as for the next 12, 13 minutes is the power of the research center in terms of what have I learned. And in doing so, I just want to say the centers that I have managed over the last 30 years, approximately 10 years in each of this center. The first one, the Center for Marketing Research that I did at University of Houston. And then you had the ING Center for Financial Services at University of Connecticut. And then the Center for Excellence in Brand and Customer Management at Georgia State University, approximately. And all this, something very unique in each of this. While the name is different, and the names have evolved to keep pace with the industry needs. And in terms of general vision that we have structured for our center is to be the world leader in producing and disseminating knowledge that solves complex problems in the business world. Simple. We have to take a business problem and be able to solve it with our center so that there is a value proposition that we provide, a compelling value proposition that we provide. And then in terms of the mission that we structure, we want to make sure that, which I mentioned, to all stakeholders, value proposition to all stakeholders. And then we need to be building the capabilities. Resources and capabilities are very key. So knowledge creation and tool generation. You know, when I was in Houston, we had Werner, Raj Venkatesh, and a few other stellar students at the time bringing econometric models at the highest level. And today, if you look at our doctoral students today who we work with, they bring in machine learning, blockchain, and artificial intelligence. So the skill set itself has to be evolving continuously. And we want to be able to apply the latest tools and techniques, know-how to various industries, just not focus on one or two industries, but just broader. And the biggest benefit as a result of this is to be able to publish cutting-edge research papers in top journals, as well as write case studies, and then bring innovation. People call it unintended consequence. Well, it is very meaningfully intended that once you do top research to bring it to the classroom and disseminate to the students, saying that this is just off the shelf and you are the first one to know and should be able to implement it. And we also nurture academic business community interaction by having few roundtables. Because it's marketing, it's a CMO roundtable that we had it in few places for years, and bringing the CMOs together at least once a month for about 7 or 8 meetings in a year, and then inviting scholars to come and speak in that is phenomenal. Even here, we can aim for that, if not in person, over Zoom. Then implementing the solution in business, which they need badly, and then disseminating the knowledge in managerial journals. In fact, Werner, who is here, was one of the first one to teach me that, whatever research we do, we need to publish in Harvard Business Review, and he made it happen, the very first Harvard Business Review. So we have this activities, in terms of research in all our centers. The first is we hold a lot of research seminars so that it's the easiest way to get exposure to knowledge from outside world. And then we aim for premier publications because that is what is going to give us the name. And then host thought leadership conferences. In a given year, at least one we host whichever center we have managed, we have been able to, and hopefully CREM will follow the footsteps. And then participate in research competition. We have a lot of competitions by Marketing Science Institute, by ISBM, Institute for Study of Business Markets, and then Sales Research Foundation, and so on. And then dissemination of knowledge to practitioner community through writings in managerial journals and through participating or having a center newsletter that you share with the practitioner community. You also can have teaching activities is to develop this graduate research content and a course content from the research, and then revamping the marketing curriculum on an every 3-year basis to bring the latest to the course, and then create certificate of specialization. Sometimes, we have a lot of things to share, and we give the students the option, both the current students and the alumni, to come back to the institute and then take these 2-3 courses. Like today, at the university where I am, at St. John's, we offer certificate of specialization in new age technologies so that they can go back and implement artificial intelligence readily in the businesses. And also customize executive education programs. This is really fun. There are 3 benefits. One, you can interact with the executives. They come to your program, so you get their Rolodex easily. Second, they pay for it, you can raise money. Third, it gives a good testing ground for your knowledge that you have generated to see where all it is applicable. And finally, collaborate with external scholars, which is a must, because today we interact with globally all the scholars and learn from them in uniqueness, nuances in those markets. That's very important. In terms of service, the executives here, we have stellar executives in the panel here. Some of them I know directly, some of them I know of them. So engage business executives as guest speakers and bring speakers for the thought leadership, as well as enroll them as judges in competition. The idea is that we want to understand what measurements we can develop for the specific industries. And that's the way I think our team, doctoral team from the last 25 years, developed so many brand and customer metrics and put it into the marketplace, which is now the practice in the businesses worldwide. So a center like CREM, what should they be focusing on, which they are already, because Dr. Gupta has been observing us, how we function, and knowledge, resources, people, and process. And these four you have to constantly be revamping, and then participate in research competition, generate grants, areas of focus funds. Like if you create to begin with, you are an expert in innovation, then keep building that so that you create a name, and then you can add subsequently other topics. And then recruit the doctoral students also to focus on this area of innovation. If I'm just giving that as an example, you should do that. And then aim for publications, collaborate with leading scholars in innovation, host thought leadership conferences in the topic, because I think, to me, you're the leaders in grassroots innovation, reverse innovation, social innovation, digital innovation. You've all published MICA faculty in these areas. So it is something that you can capitalize on. To capitalize on that, you need to build, and I know MICA is a business school, but I know you can collaborate, in terms of pillars, multiple other areas. The statistics is there, finance, IB, geosciences, epidemiology. The reason epidemiology is taking increased attention is that we looked at pandemic, how it diffused. Why did it diffuse differentially? And was fortunate to work with Dr. Gupta there to analyze it with the data from Johns Hopkins. And that is the way to do it. Think broader, so that the center can be a resource, not just for the business, but for the stakeholder well-being. And marketing is the pillar or the foundation for all these pillars to actively collaborate. So our center's view of generating ideas. So how can a center be successful? If we can focus on asking two types of questions. One is aboutness, explaining why and or how a particular effect occurs. The example we give recently is the pandemic. Why did it spread so fast in some countries, and why did it stay flat in some other countries? What did each country do specifically in terms of preventing it and promoting a better well-being for the community and society? We answered that. Another paradigm which I learned from Werner is, why not question conventional wisdom? He started this journey by saying, why should loyalty be equal to profitability? Let's question that. And it is equal to profitability in the contractual world, but we live in a non-contractual world where 95% of the population transact through non-contractual business scenario. So there, loyalty is not necessarily equal to profitability. So this kind of two domains you keep questioning in the business world, then you thrive with ideas and creativity that you can offer. So this is something that we practice. As a result, what have we offered the academics in terms of having a stable and a resourceful center is to be able to recruit doctoral students globally. They come to us in large numbers, so we have to be selective in bringing who's showing a hunger and passion to work with us, and also learn and produce new knowledge to solve managerial problems, enable the students to publish in top journals, and also write papers and case studies. And we talked about some of this, but the most important thing is facilitating writing award-winning dissertation. Again, in our team of 38 doctoral students I've had, 18 of them won the best doctoral dissertation. The first of which was started by Werner in 1999, winning the John Howard AMA doctoral dissertation for questioning the conventional wisdom. And this is what leads us, puts us in the map in terms of what we can showcase. And also to be able to place the students in top universities that focus on the student area of interest, and also recruit graduate students and place them in businesses. Like when Professor Rajesh Krishna was talking to Ms. Kanika Mittal, she was saying that, yes, I was a student, then I joined Tata Teleservices, and now I'm here and doing this. It's so good to see from our institution that people go on and run the world. And the pride is more for the institution than for the students. So what have we learned is while we have worked with 150 companies over the last 25, 30 years, here are some of the companies across the spectrum in major businesses that we have been able to make a difference, including Godrej in India with respect to distribution, to US-based companies, European-based companies, product manufacturing services, small businesses, not-for-profit, Georgia Aquarium, and so on. So what have we learned? What should this center like a CREM bring together? First, you should be strong in theoretical principles that develop, and you are strong in innovation to begin with, and then other areas to global phenomena also you're working. But theoretical principles, something that you assimilate, digital marketing, and then based on that, you want to offer to the industry strategies and tactics. Of course, you cannot do that unless you either have in-house talents or you have to acquire that talent. And at the beginning of this, our President Mehta introduced some of the faculty, saying that we acquired them, recruited them from this institute, and he was so proudly talking about them. That's the way to go about acquiring this kind of knowledge faster, and to be able to integrate them into the center and apply. And once we do this, we have been able to implement all these solutions in the businesses, resulting in at least over a $5 billion gain for them. And through demonstrating our marketing capabilities, operational capabilities, and financial capabilities, bringing the implementation to the practice of marketing, we could have been fortunate to implement and see success in all our applications, but not necessarily the case. So you can have the process outcome as success or failure. Even in a failure, we learn, through the practice. If it is failure, well, why is it? How could we have prevented it? And then we have the empirical generalizations that go about and feed into revising our theoretical principles. We call it theoretical principles, but the name is given. Theory can be like a law-like generalization, or it can also be theories in use, what we observe from the practitioner world and bring it to the table. So in terms of my message, wishing you the very best, MICA CREM. Thank you for the opportunity to share what I have learned over the years, and I am proud to be associated with MICA in their growth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Kumar, for your well-thought presentation and a very insightful talk. It was quite enriching and certainly gave us food for thought to work on. We look forward to having your continual guidance at CREM, and that is what we are now looking forward to begin with a lot of activities to initiate at CREM. Now we move to the next agenda of the day, that is a panel discussion with our center esteemed advisory board members. Well, they are the top scholars, editors of the premier journals, authors, industry entrepreneurs, industry intrapreneurs, and leaders. I sincerely thank all of them for gracing us with their presence and participation. We have among us Professor Anne Raghavan, Charles Clark Reynolds, Professor of Retailing and Marketing, Robson College, and a former joint EIC of Journal of Retailing. Professor Kelly Hewitt, Professor of Marketing at Tennessee University and Editor-in-Chief of Journal of International Marketing. Professor Werner Reinhardt, Professor and Director of Center of Research and Retailing, University of Cologne, Germany. Then we have Mr. Praveen Nizara, CEO, Hansa Research. We have with us Mr. Lalit Chopra, Executive Vice President, Axis Bank. Then we have Ms. Kanika Mittal, Country Leader, Large Client Solution, Twitter, and Kulan Mukherjee, Head Growth, Coolkanya.com. Each one of them owns a huge body of work in their given domain. However, in the interest of time, I'm not reading their complete bios here. However, we have provided you with the CREM webpage link in the chat box just now. And the detailed profile of all the participants are available out there. At the end of the panel discussion, we can take a few questions from the audience. Hence, I request you all to post your questions directly to me using the chat option. And we have a panel view on those questions. Professor Kumar has kindly agreed to moderate the discussion for us. He has run multiple research centers successfully so far, and there can be no one better than him to run this session. Now I invite Professor Kumar and all the panelists to initiate the discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Gupta. It's an honor and pleasure to interact with my close friends here, and I've learned so much from them. But I want to just start, putting them on the spot. We'll go through the questions, but this is, I want Kelly, Anne, and Werner to answer this question. Suppose we do all the hard work and use data from the industry and write a paper and submit to the journal. Would it have, assuming all else being equal, the idea is fantastic and all, would it have an easier path to publication than if you self-collect the data? What do you see as the biggest benefit of everybody working hard, collaborating with industry, collecting this data? Do you see an edge? And we can go in the alphabetical order, and then Kelly and Werner.
Well, good day, everybody. It's nice to see you. It's a pleasure to be here. Absolutely, VK, I do believe that it probably does have an edge, all else being equal. Interesting question. But I think the biggest thing is it brings the external validity. It shows the real world necessity of answering this question and shows how it actually works in the real world. So having that field data component is in my view, a benefit for any paper. Absolutely.
So please continue by saying, would the reviewers be favorable to that, or would they find more fault with the outside data because there is a lot of skepticism coming in, and would also focus on this with the recent JMR's effort to say requesting sharing of data for publication. So that is the reason I asked this question, that if industry is not willing to, and we'll go to the industry executives for that, but I'm giving you the background as to why this question is so salient now than ever before.
Do you want me to continue, or do you want to turn to?
Yeah, please continue, and then we'll go to Kelly.
Well, I think that it's a combination of it. It's not just field data that will stand alone, but you need a combination of internally valid data as well to support. So I think that especially from an experimental perspective, having the combination of more lab-based studies and field-based studies is really essential. I think that showing having the ability to confirm that the data is real is important as well, because there is concerns about integrity of data. And so ensuring that that is valid and important is critical, I think, as well in the publication process.
Thank you, Anne. Kelly, please.
Sure, and I can't agree with Anne more about the issue of data integrity is the core issue with this decision by the Journal of Marketing and other journals. The Journal of Marketing adapted their policy from management science. So this is not something that's completely new. But I also agree with Anne on the need to often use lab data or data from other sources as well to demonstrate patterns of results and to convince the audience of your findings. But I will say, because I'm leading an AMA journal, I was in those initial conversations where the JM team announced this policy, and we had a really robust discussion about how it would play out in situations exactly like the one you mentioned, BK. So when we have proprietary firm data and the firms are skeptical about that data being released and what can be done with it, then of course those issues have to be worked out, so we're not preventing scholars from using these sorts of data sets. And so scenarios might include using simulated data that at least demonstrates the pattern of data, but is not the actual data, or providing the documentation, providing code to show what was done to the data. So my understanding is that the academic community values industry collaboration to such a degree that we will find a way to make this tenable, and as long as we can convince ourselves that the quality of the data is not in question. So I'm hopeful that leads us to a solution that allows us to continue collaborating, because I think that's at the core of what we do as marketing strategy researchers, is try to understand how firms strategies impact their performance and at many different levels. And without collaboration with industry, I think we will lose a lot of the richness in what we can contribute back.
As an editor, do you appreciate the hard work gone into the use of real company data, and that is there an edge? That's the key question.
I believe so. I hate to say that if someone is at an institution where it's challenging or particularly difficult for them to access such data, that somehow they're going to fail if they don't find a way. So I will say I think there's value in well done research, regardless the nature of the data. However, I do think that when you can work with a partner company, it goes a long way toward demonstrating the face validity as well as the practical importance of what you're studying. So I can't help but think that reviewers see that the same way. So absolutely, yes. Collaborating with industry, I believe, does give you an edge.
Thank you. Werner, please.
So thank you, VK, for asking this question. So you're asking a field data guy whether there's value in field data. The answer is clear. I strongly believe in field data for the one, and I think the entire field of marketing is moving towards generating external validity. So for me, the answer is really clear. That it might not be easy for many of us to generate valid and strong field data, but that's another problem, another issue. With respect to the recent initiative from JM, I discussed this actually with my postdocs in my group, and we felt all a bit skeptical, in fact. We felt all a bit disheartened, not because of the substance matter. Of course, we need transparency and validity of the data, that is clear. But the question is, how do you make sure you deliver that? And if now firms have to tolerate that we actually open up data or we simulate similar data, we give more specifics, indeed, I believe one firm or the other might say, no, I'm not giving the data. Also, I was wondering when I was reading that statement, will the data that we give out actually be safe? Are they in a repository that is really safe and cannot be hacked? How about the simulations? Cannot they be retraced and the data be reconstructed? So I feel it will become more difficult in the future due to that to publish field data, actually. Not because the cause is wrong, but I understand that it's really hard to make sure we have no faults in the data and to demonstrate that, but the current proposal, in my view, makes it a little bit harder for young scholars to get their papers out.
Thank you, Werner. One oversight I want to correct. In terms of MICA scholars visiting our center, even Professor Kallol Das and Professor Sunita all visited our center. And sorry, Professor Kallol Das, for missing out thing, because the moment I saw the picture of you in our center, then I remembered that, oh, I missed it out, but sorry about that. But I want in this thing, just to close this topic with our President Mehta, who is in economics, who uses real data. And what do you see there in economics? It's widely accepted for this data, and versus in now in the marketing field or any other field, asking them to share the data, like make it open for everyone. You're muted, Professor Mehta. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with the audio here. Just a minute.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, we can hear you, Professor Mehta.
Yeah, just a minute. I think would you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble here.
No,
just a second.
If you heard the three responses, they all say that we welcome industry collaboration, industry data. There is, of course, an edge in terms of using real data to show the phenomena and so on. But then there is a policy just instituted in the AMA journals, the major AMA journals, that you have to share the data or disclose in some form, simulate or something. And in economics, you have been using always public data so that anybody can use that. So this problem did not exist, but the field is growing. And so I was just saying that since you are from economics, your viewpoint, just 1 minute response, and then I want to go to the industry.
Yeah. So I think economics, as you know, the behavioral economics literature in the field has pioneered experimental methods also. So data that you yourself collect under controlled conditions, and that is very well accepted now. But I'd like to also mention a third domain where you basically use simulation data and combine it with experimental data. So those could be very interesting avenues for people to explore. So of course, secondary data, publicly available data that you generate through experiments, and data that you simulate, that you generate through simulations. So the really interesting possibilities will be in combinations of these. And many years ago, we built a platform to do precisely this kind of work. And we did some early simulations of MERS and SARS when we were at Purdue. Unfortunately, a lot of that was classified by the Department of Homeland Security, I think because we started to get into very sensitive questions. But those were mixed methods, where we put people in experimental situations, but then also had simulations running in the background and combined them. And that way you get the leverage of lots of people, but then millions of artificial entities. So those are also some things that I think people may want to explore at a future time. Yeah. But by the way, could you hear me? I mean, I hope.
Yeah, very well. We could hear you very clearly. Thank you. Now going to the industry panelists. I'll start with Ms. Kanika. You run Twitter, country head. You're a Twitter person. I have a co-author here who's in this session right now, who spent hours and days and weeks scraping data from Twitter to do our study of like how Twitter sentiments affect firm value. Could we have saved those time and come to you directly and say, this is our requirement. Can you just put these filters and give us all this Twitter data with positive and negative sentiments on this company's stock, like 100 companies? Overnight, you could give it to us, and then we can do wonderful research and save 6 months of our time.
So that's a really interesting question. Thank you, but that would be equivalent to waving some sort of a magic wand. That's a lot of data that you're talking about, and a lot of data sets and multiple analysis, so that the data tells a story at the end of the day. What I can, however, tell you is, to the point that have been raised by many other esteemed members of the panel, is the part around industry collaboration and how that kind of really pivots the data to becoming so much more critical and important. I think it's a key point of differentiation. And what we've noticed, in my role earlier, even as a marketer, is that consumer trends are changing extremely fast. Post-COVID, there has been such a fundamental shift in consumer behavior. There have been new trends that have popped in places like fintech, for example, in areas like fintech, for example, or edutech, or SaaS, or cloud computing, artificial intelligence, data security, etc. That marketers today are grappling with a whole new world, and when they have to navigate these very specialized and very different aspects of marketing, I believe that's where in research inspired through industry collaboration with very clear-cut objectives can be super helpful, and it can really help distinguish the work, but also create meaningful impact, because you can look at the data and you can take decisions. You can make your marketers, you can make your leadership a lot more equipped to even handle these changes that have been so sudden and so many. So the way I look at it is that it's just these are the pieces that help to navigate high level of VUCA, very high level of complexity, and really empowers and creates that arsenal for leadership today to navigate the times. And of course, Twitter is great for sentiment and these kind of analysis, but it really depends on the brand in question and on the research objective at that point in time.
Thank you. And you'll be hearing from me and my co-author, who's a professor at one of the IIMs in India.
Absolutely, I look forward to it.
Yeah, the Twitter research. Moving to Mr. Lalit Chopra. Sir, how are you? And good to see you again. And you run a bank, and you have a lot of transaction data of customers firsthand. What does it take for us to convince you to share the data with MICA faculty and work and build supermodels that you can implement?
Thank you so much, Professor Kumar. And foremost, many congratulations to MICA, to Professor Mehta, Professor Kumar, you, thank you so much, and Professor Gupta for creating this platform, a very unique platform named CREM. And I'm sure this is going to go a long way in giving a very structured platform for collaboration between academia and industry. Thank you so much. Now, coming specific to your question. We as a large bank, and we are one of the top 3 banks in the country, customer data is very important, crucial for us. We keep it as close to our heart as possible. So we literally we're never willing to share this data with anyone traditionally. We've got a very large analytics team in-house itself who analyze customer behaviors, trends. As was pointed out earlier, COVID has changed a lot of things across the globe. So we try to analyze those internally as far as possible, how the customer spends are happening, where are they going, where are they traveling, how are they borrowing. So there's a very large team in-house itself who does this analysis on a very regular basis, and they keep trying to meet the requirements of our different departments in the bank. But definitely there comes a need to share our database with external agencies, particularly with the fintechs now. Because we have got the customers, we've got the data with us. Fintechs come with a lot of new innovative products, offerings, speed, pace. And they're very versatile. And very nimble also. So we do share data at times with them. We have to run certain campaigns, certain drives for a particular set of customers. Say if I want a credit card offering, which I have to reach out to a large number of external customers, external stakeholders I have to reach out to. So I have to take support, I have to collaborate with fintech. So I do share data with them. But of course with an NDA, with a non-disclosure agreement with them, and try to keep it as limited as possible. With MICA, of course, with no, I would not hide anything onto it because it becomes very, very difficult, in fact, literally difficult to share database of customers. But with specific projects in mind, yes, of course, with all those terms and conditions in place, banks and the BFSI sector, of course, we have to open up. There's no other way out, in fact. We can't live in isolation and say that I will not be. I would be, but if the interest of the customers and the bank is also taken care of.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, that's very heartwarming to see that if we give a compelling business proposal, that you're willing to hear out and do it. Thank you. And next is Praveen, sir. Is he there? Yes, I see you. Yeah, Hansa. Yeah, I know we go a long way with Hansa, in terms of formation of the company and doing things. And you collect a lot of data. You help companies. What is that you can help us academics do better research and also help industry by collaborating with a company like Hansa Research?
First of all, thank you for having me part of this advisory board, and thank you for inviting me to this discussion. I think what we can offer is, I'll come straight to the point. What we can offer is we have high-end analytical tools and experience of doing very high-end research, which we can offer as help to the research centers, to students, to the faculty, and also bring a certain perspective of what the industry really wants. So that really is important, because the industry and academic sort of collaboration must be in a manner that the research that is done is relevant to the industry. We have a lot of experience and exposure of dealing with multiple sectors and different kinds of companies, understanding the business, understanding the challenges, and hence understanding what really will be relevant for them from a research point of view, so that the research that is done is relevant to them. And in a way, it helps them de-risk the entire investment that they would do right from start, in let's say in a new product or a new service or a new initiative, by getting some sort of a research done through the academia to understand the challenges and how to really implement those initiatives in the real life, in the real world. So it's like rather than going all out upfront and investing money to start something new or to do a new initiative, you get it done through some very robust research through the academia before you actually go out and implement it and spend a lot more money. So it, in a sense, helps de-risk that. Of course, the relevance of the research to the industry and making the sort of bringing that understanding to the academia is also important, and we can help bridge that gap and be part of that sort of holistic ecosystem where the research becomes more relevant to the industry.
Thank you so much. Your willingness to collaborate. Yeah, you'll be hearing from CREM very soon on various proposals, but thank you. And our final industry, Mr. Kunal, is he here? I see the first screen.
Yeah, so apologies from Kunal. Kunal's wife is with me. Kunal is down with COVID right now, so he's unable
sorry to hear that. But then we didn't leave any other academic here out.
We have covered them all. Yes.
Now the critical thing going back to the industry. In working with the academics, the industry, and you can take either Kanika or Praveen, or Lalit, you can say, are you willing to also fund some of this research? That we can help, academics can really, I'll give you 3 examples. Twitter, we can show you how we can use Twitter data to help brands grow or to help accelerate firms' profitability. So we can do some of these things, sentiments, and we give a proposal. Would you be willing to fund this research so that you can use it, this model? And the reason we are asking this is because we have worked with companies, they have funded us quite well in the last 25 years. And while they fund us X dollars, they made 1000X, ROI and so on. So this is more as a token of research and grants. Either, we'll go with Kanika, Praveen, and Lalita in that order. Lalit, sorry, in that order.
Right, sir. Thank you for your question. Well, like you said, it all depends on the business case. And here I wouldn't really, I wouldn't just speak about Twitter, but in general, if I take a step back, what I can definitely say is that research is the need of the hour. And like I said, there have been so many new things and new trends, and several of them need a lot of data, especially to kind of almost like crystal gaze into the future and kind of help us walk through this uncertainty. So if there is a very strong business case that helps, any brand on the other side of the table to kind of see that if we put in this today and these are the relevant topics we are touching, these are the kind of outcomes that we can expect, and this is how we can move the needle, then sure, there is, the possibilities are immense. So I think it would all boil down to the business case. And I think in general, the VUCA is so much today that I believe that the business case kind of speaks for itself, given the situation that we are dealing with. I think the level of uncertainty is also, much more increased by the fact that we have the Russia-Ukraine situation on one side, we have the energy crisis on the other side, and so many other pieces which marketers are grappling with. So in such a scenario, how can data empower them further? If there can be a strong business case behind it, then I think any company, any research organization or otherwise would be willing to raise their hand and say, okay, let's go for it.
Thank you. Mr. Praveen?
My answer is ditto. There has to be a business case. It has to be relevant to the industry, to the companies. At the same time, it also has to be, I'll put it a little more straightforwardly, it also has to be relevant from the point of view the data being monetized enough so that it is relevant to us as well. I know, for example, that there is a definite need across marketers, and it's discussed in the research world all the time, that there needs to be some more detailed research on understanding the Indian consumer, for example. And it is not just at a very broad level. There are several research papers on understanding the Indian consumer, but I don't think there's anybody who really understands the finer nuances of the Indian consumer, right down to the rural level, understanding what every 100, 200 kilometers, we always discuss every 100, 200 kilometers, the consumer changes, dialect changes. But I don't think there's anybody who has invested money in understanding that consumer down to the rural level. And I'm just giving that as an example. So if there is a research done to understand the consumer there, I think it will definitely benefit the industry. I think it will definitely benefit all of us if we were to participate in that. And obviously, it has to be monetized because otherwise, it's not relevant to the entire ecosystem. There has to be some money coming out of it.
Thank you, Mr. Lalit.
Yeah, thanks. Professor Kumar, and I cannot be any different than my colleagues from the industry, Kanika and Praveen. So it has to be 3-0 if you were to score it. Yeah, of course, industry works on commercial values, and very rightly pointed out earlier itself that if it makes business sense, of course we would be very much willing to collaborate, and wherever MICA and in fact, you rightly mentioned in your presentation also that you are customizing solutions. There are certificates of specialization for the students and things like those. Wherever you can collaborate, CREM, MICA can collaborate with the industry in a meaningful manner. And we look for, from the industry, we look for near-term values, immediate returns kind of stuff. While, of course, academia is like more of a long-term research-based, creating knowledge platforms or new knowledge platforms. In fact, we look for immediate returns. So if this matches and definitely it makes sense, of course, we game for it. The industry would be game for it.
Yeah, in that context, to just closing it out in this point, all three of you, Kanika, Praveen, and Lalit, would you be willing to, like on a quarterly basis, just say what are the pressing problems that you need to solve, and so that once the academics get to know that, then they can embark on finding a solution. So first starts with you executives sharing the problems. Is that something we can assume you're ready? All three of you can say yes, yes, yes.
I think yes. If there's a consistent dialogue, then the level of understanding between the two sides does increase, and you tend to understand better what the real needs are. So a consistent dialogue there will help. But I think I'm more like in between the sort of academia and the end user of the research, so to say. So maybe some of the maybe Lalit or Kanika can answer that better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would be very keen to, because I'm, sort of well connected with the industry, kind of have my ear close to the ground and very leaned into what's happening. So I would personally be very excited to kind of share what are the big problems that marketers are facing today, and what are the kind of data points or inputs that they're looking for, either to sharpen their strategy or to optimize resourcing, or generally be better prepared with their leadership sort of operating in this kind of an environment. So would be very, very open and willing to discuss what are the high levels of topics, what are the trends, etc., where a bit of crystal gazing can help. So would be more than happy to support on this as we go along.
Thank you. And
I have a small question for Kanika here. Kanika, like in your view, what do you feel that right now a critical area or a domain where the researcher should focus on? There's a need of the industry where you feel the research is required, so that something can be built around it. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. And I think top of mind, what comes to me is MarTech and marketing technology. How much can technology really enable a marketer today to take more data-driven decisions? How can the same technology then be used to deliver marketing in a more effective manner? I think gone are the days where we could very confidently say that 80% of the marketing, we don't know where it goes, and then 20% of it is impactful. Today, every dollar that is being put out is much more accounted for. And therefore, marketing technology can also help not just to take the right decisions, but also create optimization across the full funnel of marketing. Attribution can be done in a much better way, so you know how much return is coming on every dollar. And at the same time, technology can be used to also understand your consumer better, understand shifts in patterns, spot out the trends a little early on, and kind of build from there. So I believe marketing technology as an area has a lot of potential and a lot to offer. And within that, there are many interesting segments, whether it's machine learning, whether it's artificial intelligence, or whether it is the way Web3 is coming forward to really change the game of marketing, or how NFTs have disrupted certain pieces, although the industry is a bit down at the moment, but it has created disruption in its own way. And we've seen, for example, auto brands embrace NFTs, which nobody would really even expect. So just something that decodes this very interesting and very vibrant world of marketing today through the lens of technology, and kind of really makes art meet science would be a wonderful area of research, and I would highly prioritize that.
Thank you. Yeah, we have to give Mr. Lalit the chance to respond to the previous question.
Thanks, Professor Kumar. Yes, there are pressing areas of concern where we would definitely need, the industry would need immediate support. Some of them, and to respond to Dr. Shafadi's observation query, is that one is how do I deepen the relationships with my customers? To give a very specific one, I onboard a customer today. Say I onboard 100 customers today. Over a period of next 12 months, say about 30 to 40 of them, they are tried out of the bank. Either they are tried actively, or they would close the relationship, or they would not be an active customer with me. So one of the ways is that I can, of course, give them more products, do cross-selling out with them. But is there some science which can be brought into this, that I have got a better hit rate on becoming a primary banker to any customer who I acquire, because acquisition has got a cost involved in it. So if I acquire a customer at, say, 1,000 rupees here in India, there's a cost, and if the customer doesn't give me X amount of return, it's not worth the effort. So this is one of the pressing needs, and there can be many other areas which I would be happy to share and come back. Very, very happy to engage with the team on a quarterly basis for whatever is agreed upon.
We have a proposal ready for you, because I'll tell you, I'm going to Kelly next. Kelly, you have a very unique background. You were an academic, and you brought me to UConn, and then you ditched me and then joined Bank of America as an executive. But then you were so nice to bring me over there to help the bank. Exactly the question that Mr. Lalit is asking: how do I deepen the relationship with Bank of America customers? And you saw instantly the value. You were there running it. And then again, you quit industry and came to academics. So what do you see? Of course, you see the value, but what can you tell these industry people that you have learned?
Thanks for the question, VK. Yeah, I do have a little bit of a twisted path, I will say, all for good reasons. But very nice to meet you, Lalit. Yes, with my banking background, especially during the financial crisis, I'm sure we could share over a cup of tea sometime some of our war stories. But I'll just say, first of all, let me also mention that while I was an executive at Bank of America, I saw firsthand how collaboration with academics benefited the firm. So in multiple ways. One, some of you might be familiar with the Marketing Science Institute. I was actually a corporate trustee with the Marketing Science Institute. It's a collaboration between academics and practitioners in marketing, where it's knowledge sharing, sometimes access to collaborate on research. So I was very active with that. And then in addition, Bank of America invested in a center at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, more for product innovation and technology innovation. But I saw a myriad of projects come out of that benefited the firm. So I'll just describe one of them. The bank partnered with Intel to fund classes on a regular basis where teams of students opted in, signed up, and were given a challenge. And it might be a new product ideation kind of challenge, or a technology solve a new problem kind of challenge. It might be a consumer related challenge. But the idea was these teams would compete to receive some funding as seed money for them to go off and pursue something. So the Media Lab at MIT serves as a feeding ground for sort of spin-offs. And so the idea would be that with this funding from these corporations, these teams could come up with a solution that then would benefit the companies, but then they could go off and monetize with their own business profile. And I saw many, many, many companies collaborating with that center, and I can foresee similar things. So, you as practitioners have problems that we have the desire and the need to solve, because that's sort of the lifeblood of our work is to publish and to come up with solutions that we're able to publish. So there might be creative ways to seed projects with really smart graduate students and some faculty collaborators and mentors to solve problems for you that then we can publish, and in that way your funding kind of serves multiple purposes. So I don't know if these ideas are helpful, but I saw firsthand how those collaborations truly led to outcomes that could be monetized by the bank or could solve real day-to-day problems that the bank was facing. But it also led to these wonderful academic outcomes as well. I don't know, VK, was there something else you wanted me to comment on? Those were the things.
No, I mean, it's a unique, yours is unique. You cared for academics even when you were in the industry so much that, that kind of passion, I just want these industry execs to exhibit, because the value of what academics can bring on, I know, Werner knows, and Anne knows, Murali knows here, and so many have been there, done that. They all know, but for the industry people, it's very important that if you find a good academic, you have to latch on to them forever. so that you will derive continuous value and hold on to them. So that's why I see. So just shifting gears to the academics, I will start with Werner. What do you, I mean, it's an investment to start a center. You know, you as a leader of a center, you'll have to invest time and resources and to benefit others. It's not to benefit yourself. And how do you see the mindset that, you know, what motivates you to do something like that, be a center for retailing or whatever center for anything you do?
Thank you, VK. So I personally believe you as a center leader, as a center manager, you have to believe, of course, in the center. You have to have the mindset to believe in empirical work and to believe in managerially relevant work. And that is really what drives me personally. That is, I can have access, I can have, first of all, physical access. I can see people, I get to know people, I can talk to people in industry. Secondly, I can talk to them about my research. I can ask them questions to learn from them, which I think is really, really important. It's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street, that you learn about issues that they care about, that they struggle with, that they worry about. And then I think at the last step comes the question for data. And personally, I don't even ask so much the question for budget, but I rather ask the question for data, because for me, typically I get the budget from the university, but the data access to me is much more important. And to have this conversation with the managers about the issues they face, the developments they are facing, also to be ahead of the curve with respect to publishing, I think that it serves multiple roles, it plays multiple roles. And it creates work, it is an effort. So therefore, it's a mindset of the professor as well, that you have to care about these issues. I know a bunch of colleagues who say, I wouldn't want to do that job. I don't care about these difficulties of getting to know actual managerial issues because I'm more theoretically oriented, etc. But in so far, it's a trait of the professor. But I get a lot of value out of this because it gives me personal satisfaction to work on something that is relevant to management.
Thank you. And
I think the centers are a wonderful way to create a conversation between practitioners and academics. And I think when that conversation happens, and that can be on multiple levels, that's where you get richness on both sides. I think that a point Werner made of it not being a one-way street is really important. It's a collaboration, and both parties should be getting benefit from it. I mean, data for academics is an easy one, but for practitioners, they should hopefully get learnings. But, you know, I get learnings from practitioners as to what's important. So to me, a center is really a meeting place for these two different minds to come together. And for me as an academic, the most important things are to solve relevant real world problems that, and again, through that conversation that the centers foster is where, to me, the seeds all begin.
Thank you. Dr. Gupta, do you want, you run the center now, you are going to be investing your time and resources. So what are your concerns or what do you want to ask the panel and or your colleagues? What do you need from us?
Well, first of all, thank you so much to all of you for being here and participating in this wonderful conversation. And I completely agree with what Anne and Werner had just mentioned, along with others, that center provides a platform and a space where the conversations and the discussions may take place. We plan that we would like to interact with industry, and academia and industry should work together, especially in the business school, where we say that we are actually providing the managers, the future managers to the industry. But if we as an academicians are not able to conversate on the relevant topics with the industry, then we are not actually fulfilling our responsibilities in a full, 360 way. So, well, the only thing which probably at this point in time I look forward is that open discussion which comes take. I really don't know that how exactly on what projects we will work on. We have a theme and some focus related to the center, which may iterate and evolve over the period of time. As we know that marketing earlier used to be a marketing, but now the technology, the digitization and marketing, we cannot separate them all. So now when we have this kind of, like sync where it is required, then we may need to go interdisciplinary, and we say that it is not just marketing, and we have to talk about the data, the digital transformation and how to deal with the technology along with. So at MICA, we do have the digital department separately, where we call that department digital platform and strategies. There we try to provide inputs to our students in a holistic manner, where it is not just a subject to teach them as digital marketing, but we provide them the holistic view, A to Z on data and the digital marketing, from analytics to do all kind of social media marketing and digital marketing. So these are the discussions which we are looking forward to, and I'm so very happy to have this interactive group of people, like along my side. And I'm very hopeful that with you and with all my MICA colleagues and students, and thank you to so many people, those who have joined across the world. I can see people have joined from UK, Europe, US, many parts of the world, right? So that is what, from my side, Professor Kumar, as of now. Thank you.
Yeah, but we spoke a lot of good things.
Can I say something?
Yes, Vanu, please.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Vanu.
So I think also you need a platform for a meeting, and I mean physical meeting, because the digital meeting cannot replace the kind of discussion that you need to have to talk to executives one-on-one, to discuss about side issues, to socialize, etc. So I think it's hard to sustain this without a flagship event, without a physical presence, without presentations, both from the practitioners and from researchers, to foster and to engage the exchange.
Yeah, and I concur. And in doing so, I don't know if Dr. Gupta or whoever has visited our center realized that on a weekly basis, we bring executives to our center and make them speak for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. What are the problems? Different industries, different executives. And then through our CMO roundtable also we hear. So you need to create a conduit of speakers coming in from the industry, sharing their problems. That's one thing. But so far we spoke about good things. I'm going to warn you with one important thing. These industry executives will get excited, will give you data to share, but they will also give you 90 days to deliver the results. You need to take that seriously. And if you miss, in academic setting, we are used to asking for extension of, deadlines, and, we submit whenever we want to submit. That doesn't work. So instantly you lose credibility if you don't deliver. So that is something you need to keep in mind, your resources and capabilities that you have and what you promise to them, and the quality and the timeliness will make a big difference in terms of perpetuating of the projects coming to the center on a regular basis. And so the team you have in MICA team is fantastic, but you also need to get commitment from each and every one. If they engage, they have to deliver in this time. No extensions possible. So this is something we learned the hard way.
No, thank you so much, Professor Kumar, for heads up, and we certainly will keep all these things in our mind. And also at the same time, along with the MICA, capability, we are also open to collaborate both, into the academic world and the industry world. So that is also something which we are keen to learn and grow over the period of time. So that collaboration will always take place when the project comes in. So
Thank you. Thank you for telling it out, so that you said you have more than 80 people enrolled here are participating, and they all would want to be part of some research projects and some mechanism for you to bring. But otherwise, the lessons we learn and the people here are the prime examples of the beneficiaries of working with the center and working with industry. We all somehow are known for rigor and relevance, not by accident. It's through this kind of effort, explicitly made, connections made with the industry. And that has put us in a unique spot, in who we are, where we are. And we are happy to share and provide any resources that you need at any time.
Thank you so much for this wonderful panel discussion. Thank you, VK, to moderate the session so well, and to all the participants. I have two questions at my end, like to ask to the panel members. One is, like, our students, they do a lot of research in the area of retailing. So the question goes to Warner and Anne particularly, that what are the pressing issues in the retail domain which needs immediate research attention? So you both are running the centers in the retail. What are your views on it?
You got to pick someone. Werner, go ahead.
Yes, Warner, yeah.
Okay, from my side, what I see currently, what the retailers are looking for is, how does the combination of post-COVID and inflation hit consumer behavior? What exactly does it do to consumers reshifting their resources? This is one very, very immediate one, and probably the most urgent one. Digitization is keeping on. This is the big topic, which as technology evolves, so the research keeps evolving. And the third one I see is anything around this issue of automation, automated sales, automated interaction, robots, anything around that, 24/7 buying, interacting, WhatsApp channels. So I think that keeps us busy for a while.
All right. Professor Anne?
And from a publication point of view, also you can add, Anne.
Yeah, I agree with the challenges that Werner has just noted. I think that along with some of those digitalization and the new technologies is the issue of privacy and data collection from individuals. And government laws also are starting to change that. So I think that's a forefront that needs to have continual consideration. I think because of COVID and supply chain issues, those issues have come more to the forefront about how should the supply chain work in a global economy? Can it be in the streamlined way that we were going, or should it be modified in some way? I think that consumer behavior is continually changing a lot because of the digital realm. And so how are those behaviors going to be in the next few years because of these technologies? A lot of times with omni-channel, people were then talking about the in-store experience, but again, how are those platforms and the different channels interacting, and what do consumers want from them? I think those are some of the interesting questions that are current, but there's so much changing. There are so many questions.
All right.
Shapali, can I add one thing?
Please.
And I would never call myself a retail expert, but because of some work I've been doing with a couple of doctoral students of mine who are very, very, very much into the virtual reality and gaming in particular, and along with that, the metaverse. I'm actually collaborating with the Journal of Retailing. We've just announced a special issue on retailing in the metaverse. So if anyone would be interested in following that and either submitting to it or seeing what comes out of it, I would love to have anyone reach out to us with ideas on how this new virtual world in retailing might play out over the next decade.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelly. Well, I have many questions right now with me, but in the interest of time, probably we'll pose those questions to you separately to have your views on it. I'll move ahead with the next agenda. But before that, thank you so much for your participation and for the lovely conversation we had this evening. Moving further, I would like to put forward some of the activities we intend to engage in at CREM. I would like to mention that we have been working in the background before this launch, and Team CREM has been quite productive in developing 5 international conference paper and a chapter in research books so far, with whatever small team of research associate and research assistants we have. Along with the industry focus research, CREM also intend to develop and nurture an ecosystem for research and bring a better inclusion within MICA and across the national globe. In that regard, first we plan to conduct focus workshop on paper writing, case study development workshops, and research method workshops. Second, we aim to participate in bidding projects for research grants and projects sponsored by government and other reputed forums. Third, we intend to have a dedicated theme every academic year and plan our activities such as live projects, webinars, workshops, and developing white paper series around that theme. So now I announce the theme for this academic year as a year for customer centricity and sustainability. So now onwards for till, April till March 2023, we will be focusing on this, with our activities. We intend to develop a white paper series focusing on a particular theme and would soon invite articles from the scholar to contribute to it. And at the end of every academic year, we will publish it in a hardbound book as the knowledge capital of the center. I'm very much elated to be part of this center as a founding chair and thank MICA management, CREM committee members, and the advisory board for their continuous support and encouragement in the process. Now I invite Professor Mayank for delivering a formal vote of thanks for this evening.
Yeah, hello everyone. Let me start by thanking our CREM chairperson, Professor Shefali Gupta herself, and for putting this tireless effort, a lot of input to bring all of us and everything together for this event. So thank you, Professor Gupta, for that much of effort. And all of that have been possible because of the thoughts and the guidance that we got from the MICA leadership. Our president and director, Professor Shailendra Rajmehta, our former dean, Professor Preeti Shroff. Thank you to both of you for your support and guidance. And we are also extremely lucky to have our Professor V. Kumar, chief advisor to our center, and such an eminent advisory board. Thank you for your support and your contribution to today's event to make this such a lively academic industry conversation. And I'm sure all of us have got so many things from today's discussions. Thank you so much for your contribution. And we're also thankful to our CREM committee members, our MICA community for their continuous support. And lastly, I would also like to thank all of you for participating in today's event and making it so enriching and conversational. So thank you so much for your support. And now that our launch is complete, as Professor Gupta mentioned, we are ready to start with our activities, and we would be looking forward to your support. Thank you.
Thank you. We are done. We are on time.
Yeah, thank you, VK, for your precious time. Thank you all the advisory board members for your participation in the plenary discussion. And thank you to all the faculty members out here, those who supported and showcased your support in the launch event. Thank you so much. We are looking forward to have a fantastic year ahead with the CREM.
Congratulations, Shefali, to you. I must say you were outstanding in how you brought everyone together, and especially to you, VK sir, for an excellent moderation, and all the best to everyone involved in this amazing initiative.
Well, I would like to mention that Kanika is our alum, and we are so glad to have our student being there in the advisory board as well as in the plenary discussion. So thank you, Kanika.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for all your success.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, all of you.
Bye.